We've been here before, fighting the problems that fight back, because we see opportunities where others see obstacles. We're change makers and problem solvers, uniting over 1 million minds to address complex issues facing communities around the world, including yours. We're working together as partners and professionals, while making friendships that last a lifetime. We're Rotary, and there's no limit to what we can do.
We have new lights this week. Miguel warned me about them, and holy cow. Are they showing my wrinkles? Welcome to the Rotary Club of Tulsa, where Tulsa's best business and community leaders gather every week to make this world a little bit better place here in Tulsa and around the world. Thank you for joining us today. Let's take a minute to say hello. Okay, we've got a packed program today, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Appreciate the warm hellos. Our invocation today is going to be given by past President John O'Connor. Sarah Lawrenson is going to lead us in our four-way test and pledge. And then Tony Oliva is going to introduce our visitors to us. John?
Please join me in prayer. As we lead in our businesses, agencies, institutions, charities, schools, and churches, and in our city, state, and nation, we look to you, Lord, our Father, for inspiration, insight, and guidance, for the knowledge to tell the difference between right and wrong, and the strength to do what is right, for the courage to love and respect each person, and to walk by faith and not by sight, for the wisdom to follow where you lead. We humble ourselves before you and pray. We will turn from our wicked ways. We pray that you will hear us and forgive us, and that you will heal the divisions among us. We are grateful for our friends and co-laborers in Rotary, in our town and around the world. We are grateful for each person we serve, and for this meal, and for our club's leadership. We pray that thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven, and that you use us to make that happen. Amen.
Good afternoon, everyone. Please join me in reciting the four-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good afternoon. We have several guests to welcome, and then we'll follow that up with some visiting Rotarians. If after I'm done reading a Rotarian with their guest, they'll briefly rise, and then when I'm done with everyone, we can greet them with a hearty round of applause. We'll start with Tim Colwell has Brian Carr from Fab Lab. And he also has Shelley Holmes. Tom Roper has Dennis Gulassi from Flight Safety. Michael Turner. Oh, okay. Kara Gay Neal has Sarah Rich with Chenoweth and Cohen. Becky Fields has Sarah Gallagher with Persimmon Group, and Tammy Turkelson with Indigo Technology. Robert Babcock has Risha Grant with Risha Grant Consulting. Lynette Potter has Cindy Salter. And Jack McGlumphy has Charles Groom. Tiffany Egdorf as Sharee Westner. Sydney Marsalis has Beth Hammonds. Scott Philstrip as Richard Koenig. Tom Klenda as Hank Haynes. And that are all of our guests, so please help me in welcoming them. We have 3 visiting Rotarians also. From the Sand Springs Club, we have Brian Jackson. And also from Sand Springs, Harlan Pinkerton. And Southeast Tulsa, we have Bill Newton. Thank you for coming, and please join us again.
Thank you, John, Sarah, and Tony. Appreciate your help. And welcome visitors. Wow, we got a big crew today. We appreciate you joining us, taking the time to join us. We hope you'll consider joining us as we serve our community. I promise you, you'll make some great friends. And this is a great networking opportunity in Rotary here, and it's a great place to serve your community. If you join us, you'll see we have a lot going on. So welcome. Our meeting sponsor today is Carl Vincent with Corporate Realty Advisors. Thank you, Carl. So our meeting sponsors pay extra beyond their dues to help defray the cost of running a club this size. So when you see one of our sponsors, tell them thanks. And as always, I encourage you to do business with one of your fellow Rotarians. Thank you, volunteers. Again, our volunteers every week, and there's a big list of them. It takes a big effort to put this program together every week, make it run smoothly, make it entertaining. And so thank you, volunteers. And when you see one of them, give them a pat on the back and tell them thank you. Thanks, volunteers. And Miguel, thank you for turning those lights down. I'm still seeing dots, so I hear noise out there. Keep talking. Yeah. Okay, announcements. This is our last chance to sign up for our visit to Celia Clinton next week. I actually have till tomorrow. If you haven't signed up, please do so today, or let Rochelle or Tommy Lee know by tomorrow so we can have adequate number of lunches available. And if you can come early and help set up, that would be greatly appreciated. So, and if you can do that, let Rochelle know also. So we've been talking for a few weeks now about our Adopt a Classroom program, where we've been trying to raise $9,000 to help our teachers out, give them 2 $100 gift cards to buy supplies for their classes. Well, once again, this group, you all are so amazing. We raised $9,295. Your generosity just amazes me. So thank you. And next week's a good opportunity to go see where that money's being put to work. And so I know the teachers would love to see as many of us as can make it, so they can say thank you. And I know is Terry here today? Terry Heritage? I don't see her, but I know she's worked hard on this, so she'll appreciate everyone's efforts. Thank you. Condolence cards are on the table. Sandra Mullins' mother passed away last week, so if you could jot her a note and keep her and her family in your thoughts and prayers. And then John Howland, John's mother passed away this past Monday. John, our condolences to you, and there's notes on the card. And again, please keep John in your thoughts and prayers. And then Rotarian Bob Reed's wife, Renee, passed away last Saturday. And I know a lot of people here knew Renee. She was active with Bob in Rotary, so you want to keep Bob and his family in your prayers. And Myrna Calhoun, the widow of past President Hal Calhoun, passed away after a long illness. And a lot of people here knew her also. And the Calhoun family is very active in the community, and Hal was very active in our club, of course. So keep the Calhoun family, and in addition to Hans and Leah Helmrich, in your thoughts and prayers. So a lot going on in the community, a lot to be thankful for, and we have a lot of opportunities to wrap our arms around each other and support, and this club is very good at that. So here's some opportunities to do that. Okay, Business Visitation Day is October 25th, so that's just a little over a month away. But we need some hosts. So if you or your business wants to host a business visitation, you can get with Dave Momper or Rochelle, or get with me, and we'll make sure you get signed up. There may be sign-up lists on the table, but let's start signing up to host. That's a great opportunity for networking and a great opportunity to show off your business to some other Rotarians. Nominating committee is going to meet October 27th, and to start forming next year's leadership team around Hannibal. So if you've got some suggestions on people that you think the nomination committee should be considering, please share those names with myself or our directors at large, Dana Burks, Tim Nall, or Brian Bovard, or Rochelle, and we'll make sure we take them into full consideration. And that's it on the announcements today. There's a lot. We do have a committee meeting after Rotary, the IBA VIP subcommittee. So that's for the important people here. So I imagine that'll be a full committee because everyone here is important. So anyway, they're meeting in room 233. Okay. We have 3 new members that you're going to get to meet today. 3, isn't that amazing? So Brenda Melancon, Hannibal, and Tom, if you all want to bring Jennifer, Danny, and Johan up here and introduce our new Rotarians, please.
Thank you, President Mike. Fellow Rotarians and honored guests, it is my privilege and pleasure today to welcome Jennifer Solers Miller as the newest member of the Rotary Club of Tulsa. Jennifer earned her degree in public health from OSU, sorry, Ed. Jennifer currently serves as the Director of Housing and Policy Advocacy for the Tulsa Habitat for Humanity, and she's a consultant to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children in Washington, D.C. Jennifer and her husband, John, are parents to Josh and Reagan. When Josh was born with multiple disabilities, including a neurological disorder similar to autism, it became Jennifer's passion to help families affected by similar disorders and to keep vulnerable individuals safe. Jennifer co-founded the Autism Center of Tulsa and autism-friendly locations. She served as the resource director for 12 years and is still actively involved in that organization. I personally met Jennifer many years ago when our sons played an autism-friendly baseball game. I can't say enough about her tenacity, vibrance, her character. She is a true leader and has every attribute of Rotary. She currently serves on the Tulsa Area Safe Kids Coalition, City of Tulsa's Human Rights Commission, City of Tulsa Fair Housing Committee, Compassionate Tulsa, and is a former consultant to the Homeland Security Studies and Analyst Institute. She's a graduate of Leadership Tulsa, Paul Harris Fellow. She previously served on St. Francis Family Advisory Council, was named Tulsa's 40 Under 40 Movers and Shakers, and the Family Advisory Board for the National Safety Kids Coalition in Washington, D.C. Jennifer, I want to welcome you to the Rotary Club of Tulsa and present you with your 4-way test and your Rotary pin. Thank you.
Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians. A native of Southern California who moved here in 1998, Danny Daniels has grown into a proud Tulsan. Danny earned his BS in International Business from Oral Roberts University with a minor in Business Spanish in 2002. In 2015, he earned his Master of Energy Business degree from the University of Tulsa. A vice president with Marsh & McLennan Companies, Danny brings a wealth of financial and oil and gas experience to our club. He spent 13 years as a banker with Arvest Bank and with Bank of Oklahoma. He completed the Oklahoma Energy Resources Board's Petrotech program and a residency program with Zenergy and Arrow Midstream. He later assisted with the startup of Rebellion Energy. Danny graduated from Leadership Tulsa Class 30. His nonprofit sector experience includes serving 2 terms as board chairman of the Tulsa Crime Commission, on the executive board of the Arts and Humanities Council, and as a loaned executive for the Tulsa Area United Way. Currently, Danny mentors with Street School. Danny lives in Tulsa with his wife and 2 sons. He's actively involved in his church and the various sports and activities in which his boys participate. Ladies and gentlemen and fellow Rotarians, please help me welcome, or rather, welcome back, Danny Daniels. Welcome, Danny. So it's my pleasure and privilege to present you with your 4-way test and your rotary pin. Thank you. Thanks, Danny.
It's my pleasure to introduce our newest Rotarian. Johan Tauman is a registered investment advisor, financial analyst, and trader with Pinnacle Investment Advisors, and his office is downtown in the Blue Dome District at 233 South Detroit. His Rotary classification is financial advisor. Johann was born in Stuttgart, Germany, and received his MA degree in management and finance from the University of Constance, Germany in 2004. He moved to Boston to work on his thesis project at Boston Consulting Group. It was there that he met his wife, Kimberly Butler from Tulsa, who is also my wife's second cousin. While Kimberly was there studying at Wellesley College. The next year, he followed her to Tulsa. They got married. They've lived in Tulsa ever since. They have 4 children, Claire, Julian, Cole, and Henry, ages 3 to 12, and reside at 2438 East 47th Place. Johan obtained his MBA from the University of Tulsa in 2011. Prior to working with Pinnacle Investment Advisors, he worked for the Munich, Germany management software company and Telead Media as manager of the North American market. He maintains dual citizenships as he is a citizen of both the U.S. and Germany. He's president of the Edison School Foundation and serves on the Boy Scouts leadership team. Johan, I present you with your rotary pin and 4-way test, and please join me in welcoming Johan to Rotary.
Welcome, Jennifer, Danny, and Johan. Thank you for joining us. I encourage you to get involved. We have lots of opportunities for you to work with your fellow Rotarians, hear their stories, and make some really good friends along the way. So thank you again for joining us. And John DeBar, thank you again for your leading the orientation today. We appreciate that. Isn't that great? 3 new Rotarians today. That's a good day. That's a good day. Okay, speaking of a good day, Sarge. It's always a great day with Sarge. Charles. Sir Charles.
It's a good day. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
In fact, I was disappointed the lights went off because you're starting to get a little color. And, you know, I was thinking if we leave the lights on, we could raise some money for the club foundation, $25 per tanning. You know, we could have the best looking club, you know, if everybody looked like they came from the Bahamas.
Yeah.
Just a thought. Maybe we'll table it till the
We'll kick that around a little bit, yeah.
All right. Well, I have a very short thing. I'm not hearing from you guys. I mean, I don't want to be tough, but I'm going to have to start picking up the phone and start calling and saying, hey, fines are happening. In fact, I'm going to go around when you guys aren't looking. I'm going to turn your phones back on. I'm going to do things that you just strategically have to do to raise money. Catherine's told me many times what she had to do during her 12 months. So I appreciate that, Catherine. We have to put it to work. So let's see here. Football tickets. We have football. It is well in swing of things, and that's OSU and OU helmets. They're not actually playing each other. We have the coming up this weekend. Is it next weekend? Where's the TCU game? I thought did we already get those tickets away? Oh, those are all taken care of. Okay, so these are the ones coming up. So OU versus Iowa State, October 7th of this year. Iowa State has a pretty decent team, and it is one of their first conference games at home. So for you that have been waiting to hold off on spending your money until the conference game starts, right here we go. And then, of course, the OSU versus Baylor, October 14th, 2017. And Tim and Barbara Knoll will be hosting that. And as always, they will buy you lunch, dinner, breakfast, cocktails. They will buy you anything that you'd like to hang out because they love being around you all. So take advantage of it, and let's raise some money for the Club Foundation. And like I said, it's a short week. I didn't have any fines, but I did have my photo of the week. This was me at a lodge, and as you can see, a bear came in. And I was really kind of frustrated because it's on the furniture, and I saw that there was a no, furniture thing with bears. And I couldn't bear it, so I had to get on to them, and, anyway, so there's your photo of the week. I know, I really struggled with that one, right? Thank you for the courtesy claps are always nice. Should have brought my golf clubs up here. All right, and then finally, did you put my little thing up there that says how to get in touch with me? Let's see here. There we go. So I am existing. That's my phone number. That's actually the wrong phone number. No wonder nobody's calling me. First time I've even noticed. Rochelle, throw me some love here. You're supposed to take care of me. I'm not going to be able to take care of myself, so I depend on the office and yourself to take care of me.
Oops.
So I'll get with you on that. But anyway, the email does work. So anyway, you'll have a wonderful week. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Charles, if that's really who you are with that phone number. Okay, David Downing and Alicia. Side mic.
Thank you, President Mike. I appreciate it. Good afternoon, everybody.
Finally, it's been so long.
It's
We're
the
back
Sarge,
at the mic.
The Sarge reprise.
Yeah,
Don't you
this
love
is
it?
good.
Hey, I've got some armed forces trivia for you today. Are you game?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Did you know that the Naval Academy played their first gridiron game in 1879?
I was going to say 1878, but I was close.
Well,
yeah.
so do the math real fast, banker. That's how many years?
It's a long time.
That's 138 years. 138 years. Did you also know, Alicia, that the Naval Academy's anthem, Anchors Aweigh, was actually written as a fight song for their football team in 1906? Did you know that?
Gosh, I didn't know that.
And did you know that it was played for the first time in 1906 against Army?
Where are we going with this?
I'm getting there.
That's a good question, Alicia.
Bear
Thank
with
you.
me. So I'll speed it up because she's a little impatient. Did you know where the word midshipman came from?
Say it again.
Midshipman.
You don't
Yes,
want
that's
to
worth a fine.
Shipman.
Thank you.
Don't make me guess.
Well, if you don't know that, I'm not going to tell you. No, it's actually a 17th century word that was designated to those low-level sailors that had to man the areas at the mid-waistline of the ship, and they called them the midshipmen.
Midshipman.
And the last question for you, did you know that the midshipmen are coming to Tulsa?
What?
The midshipmen are coming to Tulsa.
Do I get to see them?
You do. In fact, I have 20 tickets right here, ladies
20
and gentlemen.
tickets to the midshipman.
That's correct.
Is
The
it a
midshipmen.
musical act?
It's, yeah, they opened before 1964, the Beatles tribute.
Is that like for a boat ride or something?
This
or-
is the football game, kids. It's the football game. TU versus Navy on the 30th of September. And we have a block of 20 tickets. It's Rotary Club Day at the TU versus Navy football game. They're $30 a piece. We've already bought one, so there's 18 left. You can see Rochelle, or you can go on DAG-DB. And
Join us in the midshipmen.
Shipman.
Men. So, while we're talking about shipmen,
Yes, indeed.
this has nothing to do with shipmen. I have a little trivia for you.
I'm
So
game.
I have a team, a basketball team that I love very much, and their official colors are blue, yellow, and reddish orange. That is not a lie, that's an official color.
Florida Gators.
Close, not quite. So on Tuesday, October the 3rd, preseason, the Thunder are playing here against the Houston Rockets.
Kevin Durant?
Oh,
sorry.
Yeah. No.
Anybody on Twitter?
Come on.
It's a joke.
Just went downhill quick. We have 38 tickets to the preseason game. They're on sale on DACDB. You can see Rochelle. They are $50 a ticket. I've done all sorts of searching. It's a very good deal. Trust me, Craigslist can't beat this. It's in section 119, 38 tickets. David and I will be there. We're going to try and bring some shipmen with us, so we got that to look forward to. So join us. It's always fun to get the Rotarians out there together. We'll look forward to seeing you all there. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, David and Alicia. Becky, while you're coming up, so we get lots of knowledge. You come to Rotary too, huh? Didn't know any of that stuff, so. But thank you, David. I feel up to speed on my midshipman trivia. Go ahead, Becky.
Well, how exciting that we added 3 new members today, and welcome. We're so excited that you have joined us and chosen to join this great club. And if that is not exciting enough, as of this morning, we have 5 new applications for new members in September.
All right.
So as you know, our goal for September was 7 new Rotarians, so we're almost there. So remember that during the month of September, if your prospective member submits during September, there will be a discounted initiation fee, so see me about that if you have any questions, or Rochelle. And then we're just excited to introduce all of you guests today to Rotary. The reason that the Rotarian invited you today is they see you as a potential leader in Rotary, and that's what we're looking for, is people like you. So as you can see, the caliber of people that joined today, this whole room is full of that, so it's a great group to be with. Just remember to get your applications in during the month of September, and Rotarians, your name will be entered into the drawing for the Weekend for 4 up on beautiful Shangri-La on Monkey Island on Grand Lake. Thank you.
Thank you, Becky. And you were giving out gift cards today, it looked like, too. Nice, nice. Okay, Rotarian of the Day is Mandy Lemus. Mandy is the director of the Office of Corporate Responsibility at Nordam. She joined Rotary in February of 2009, and she is a Paul Harris Fellow. Please join me in welcoming to the podium Mandy Lemus.
Well, I'm really excited to be here and introduce Nathan Pritchett, our speaker today. Nathan is the Executive Director of the Hardesty Center for Fab Lab Tulsa. And if you haven't visited, I would highly encourage you to do that. It's at 7th and Lewis, and it's located in the Kendall Whittier neighborhood. It provides access for the community to digital fabrication tools that would enable anyone to make just about anything. It thereby creates opportunities to improve lives and livelihoods. So there's a lot of entrepreneurs that have just really kickstarted their business by going to the Fab Lab. Nathan's a technologist and futurist. He guides the organization's vision of digital fabrication and maker culture, as well as targeted outreach programs in STEM education, which I've been fortunate enough to be involved in through the charity that I run for Nordam called Flight Night. He is a community capacity builder, and he really leads a true mission of entrepreneurship development. He's a Master of Science degree, serves on the Tulsa Regional Chamber of Commerce's Manufacturers Council, and has been honored with a WON Award, a Tulsi Award, and a Boomtown Award for his contributions to Tulsa. I personally think that the most recent essay winner for Hidden Figures, Tulsa Regional STEM Alliance sponsored this, probably was one of the more special awards, as he wrote an essay on Nathan and his contribution to Tulsa and what it meant. And this was I think he's a 5th grader. So it was, 5th grader to Wausau, Zach Stewart, that's who it was. And For a young child who's been involved with an education program to be able to so eloquently write about Nathan and about his experience in Fab Lab and how it changed him and how it impacted him, I think is an award that is probably more worthy than some of the others potentially. At least I think that you probably feel that way. So he's really making an impact on so many kids. Beyond all of that, he has represented our community in the state of Oklahoma as an ambassador on making at the White House for the National Week of Making. I can personally attest to his leadership and vision when it comes to ensuring these tools and resources are available not only to our community and to entrepreneurs, but also our schools. And so we're really fortunate to have the Fab Lab, the Flight Night Mobile Fab Lab, and most importantly, Nathan leading that and serving as a mentor to many other Fab Labs in the nation. And so, again, I'd encourage you to go see it. Our Fab Lab is pretty renowned amongst those in the nation and very cutting edge. So with that, I'll let Nathan tell you more about it.
Let's get the technology going. So yes, thank you for having me. I think Tim Caldwell stepped out, but I wanted to thank him, and you all should thank him as well. I realized after he invited me and I saw the invitation that I agreed to do a first today. I am going to mention some of our future plans and our future building plans, and today will be the first time we've talked about it publicly. So you all are going to be the first to hear what that is. Up until now, it's all been closed-door discussions. So I'm going to start with a little bit of background. A lot of people don't really understand where the Fab Lab movement comes from. And we are part of a program that began at MIT and in the famed Media Lab. And what's curious about the Media Lab is people often misunderstand its purpose. At universities, especially in the late 1990s, early 2000s, you had a lot of silos. And you had a lot of really, really amazing people who were wanting to do graduate level research in areas that mix traditions. And so if someone came along, they wanted to study genetics along with computer science, they would apply to the genetics school and they'd say, well, we love that, but we don't know what this computer science means. And they'd go to the computer science place, and that school would deny them because they don't want to touch genetics. And so a lot of these programs didn't have places to go. They were kind of like the island of misfit toys. And so the MIT Media Lab was designed to hold these special projects. Brian and I were just there in April. We got a behind-the-scenes tour, and we can't talk about the things they do in there. There's a lot of intellectual property. Companies pay a minimum $200,000 just to get their research in there. But that's this environment that Neil Gershenfeld. So this is a photograph of Neil Gershenfeld. He's the gentleman down there sitting in his chair. And that's what his workspace looks like. This is what makers' spaces look like. They can be kind of crazy. Neil, in the early 2000s, created the Center for Bits and Atoms. And this is one of those places that didn't have a home before the Media Lab. He was specifically interested in digital fabrication, using computers, computer software, 2D design, 3D design software, but actually making physical components for the physical world. And he envisioned a world in which digital fabrication was going to grow similar to the way computer technology grew. So this roadmap that you have from mainframes to desktops to laptops to watches and smartphones, all the way up to what we have going on now, which is the Internet of Things, where essentially everything we own is a computer. He saw the same type of progression in manufacturing, from machines that make one thing manually to machines that make things using digital files, all the way up to actually the Star Trek replicator. And that's the ultimate goal, is a machine that can make literally almost anything. The problem he had is that at the time, there were not a lot of students at MIT interested in his program. These are children that came of age at a time with the internet. They wanted to change the world with their thumbs. Everyone wanted to be the next Mark Zuckerberg, and they all wanted to make web apps. They actually didn't want to make physical products. And so he started teaching a class, which he still teaches today, called How to Make Almost Anything, where he taught these students the things they probably should have learned as children by exploring and breaking things that they probably should have learned in high school if they'd had a more traditional high school that had woodworking, metalworking, and some of these other types of things that we've stripped from schools over time. And that's really where the thought of a Fab Lab begins. It's interesting, people assume there's a Fab Lab at MIT. There isn't. At MIT is the Media Lab. There's also his class where he gives his students assignments like make something big out of wood. The Fab Lab movement began as an accidental outreach program. This is really the man we all need to thank. This is a gentleman named Mel King. He's a community activist in Boston. He was a former city councilor. He ran for mayor. Unfortunately, didn't win. He and Neil Gershenfeld in 2005 got together and had coffee, and they had one of those genius moments. And they wondered what would happen if they gave the kids in the neighborhood in South Boston, in some of these roughest neighborhoods, access to the same tools and resources that the kids best and brightest in the world at MIT had. And so they put a Fab Lab in the South Boston Technology Center, which sounds pretty amazing, but it's actually a basement and a 4-story brownstone walk-up. And what they found, not surprisingly, is that when you give people access to resources, you create opportunity for them. And if you give people opportunity, they will take advantage of it. They celebrated their 10-year anniversary about 3 years ago in 2015. Not only are there engineers that have come from Mel King's program, 3 of them are now engineering professors at universities in the Boston area. And that's the kind of difference these programs can make. From there, people realize that every city and every community needed a Fab Lab. And so today, they have the Fab Foundation, which is a separate entity responsible for growing Fab Labs. And there are over 1,200 Fab Labs in about 78 countries. I always just say over 70 because they're growing. And we are part of this national network, and we participate in that. What's also really amazing for us here in Tulsa is we are very, very early in this space. We had some amazing people in 2008 that were introduced to this Fab Lab concept through some outreach programs in Europe and through their professional services in aerospace. And so as a city of Tulsa, we've been very, very fortunate to be very early. Depending on how you count it, whether you count our inception date or our opening date, we are either the 99th or 100th Fab Lab out of those 1,200. And so what our goal here today is we are an open community center, and it's about sharing technology. The equipment and the resources that we have at the Fab Lab are just out of reach of everyday people. We have $30,000 mills. We have $20,000 laser cutters. We have 3D printing. All of them follow this bits to atoms approach where they require digital fabrication, but they're the kind of equipment that most people can't afford to put in their garage at home. And businesses may have $1 million versions or $100,000 versions, but they don't let us play with them, right? And so by putting them in a community center, we're able to share this technology. What we're hoping to do is we want to build this creativity and this innovation, and we really want to empower people. So to do that, today we have 3 primary and 1 secondary mission and constituents that we serve. The first is that we're a community center. We have 350 members who pay to come in and have access to this technology. They are a massive spectrum of people. They are tinkerers, hobbyists, they are professionals, engineers, they are artists. What they all have in common is that they're DIYers. They're makers, they're self-motivated, they're self-directed, and they just need that opportunity to explore things. And as you all are probably aware of more than anyone, every hobbyist is a potential entrepreneur. They just haven't quit their day job. And so we see a lot of people transitioning from this self-discovery and self-exploration into careers and businesses. We also, as Mandy mentioned, have a growing education program. I could literally spend 3 hours talking about education. I get pretty passionate. But we teach kids, primarily in the middle school frame, so from 5th grade through 9th grade, how to use the engineering design process and how to apply what they've learned. What we know as they go through school, through elementary school, is we teach them to read, we teach them basic math, and then when we get in the middle school, what we want to do is we want to teach them how to be problem solvers, how to take a problem or an opportunity, how to come up with a solution, how to prototype that solution, how to iterate it, and we teach it as a life skill so that they'll understand that no matter what they decide to do later in life, whether it's build hardware, airplanes and rocket ships, they're going to keep iterating. If they're going to build software, they're going to keep iterating. Even if they're an artist, they're going to keep painting. And the one that our education manager gets them on is she always asks them, do you rewrite your writing? And they very sheepishly say no, but they should. We also see a lot of businesses. This is a very interesting point. Right now, the last official counts, we have 50 businesses incubating in the lab. And they are across a massive spectrum. They are everything from Etsy store owners all the way up to national companies. I don't want to call them out, but you would be surprised how many companies used to outsource things to New York City and spend 50 grand on it. Don't really have a need to do the project and buy the equipment in-house because they may only do it once a year. But now they're able to do that same project in our lab for about $1,000 just by doing it themselves. And these kinds of stories happen all the time. And then the last thing that we've come is we were named about 1.5 years ago a Regional Center of Excellence by the Fab Foundation. And this is something that wasn't in our original mission. Our mission was to serve Tulsans in our community. And it's kind of a bittersweet moment. So right now, we're helping a group in Houston build a Fab Lab at neighborhood centers. So they sent their 8 people to Tulsa to learn best practices. So it's bittersweet in the sense that people are coming here to learn instead of being that reversed. But they're getting a little bit ahead of us, especially the group in LA. We're helping a group out of LA. They're going to add 4 mobile Fab Labs in Long Beach. We have one, and it's going to be an exact replica of what we did. And we're happy to help them. But it's just kind of one of those things where you realize the people in Houston want what Tulsa has. And the people in Los Angeles want what we built here. And they want it for their own communities. This is a little bit of a graph. It'll be hard to see, but I left it in here just to kind of give you an idea. We're really young still. We just celebrated our 6th birthday last week on September 13th. We started out as a grassroots group. Literally in 2008, it was 5 friends. They were all TU graduates, so if you're a TU alum, you can celebrate that. They just sat around a dining room table one night and said, we're going to do this. And they figured it out. So it took from 2008 to 2011 to share what this vision was. Finally, in 2011, we opened our doors where we are over on South Lewis in the Kendall Whittier neighborhood. Since then, there's been awards. We've grown in capacity. We had the mobile Fab Lab, Flight Night Mobile Fab Lab in 2015. And that really changed things for us. It allowed us to stay in our current facility longer because we were able to move some of this programming for children off-site. And it allowed us to grow our capacity from about 2,500 students to about 5,000 students a year just by changing the way that worked. It's a total self-promotion, but I've been to the White House twice. You just have to say it. It's pretty cool. I thought it was really cool the first time. And the second time, I was like, it's no big deal. But it was still a big deal. But one of the things that I realized when I was there is that we're competing with cities. And there are cities across this country that are taking this maker movement very, very seriously. There are cities like Baltimore that are investing $20 million in a 33,000 square foot facility. And so I don't know whether everyone truly in our community sees what we're really competing against. But when you get a chance to go to these national events and see the best people from every state, you start to recognize that we really are competing. And then where we are here in 2017 is we're back to grassroots. We've essentially outgrown our facility and we're hoping to expand. And this is kind of the case for support. I actually can't read the numbers, but I think I've got most of them memorized. At the end of 2012, which was our first full year of operation, we saw about 808 students. We had about 300 members, and we had about 20 businesses. In 2015, that had grown to almost 5,000 students, about 350 members, and about 32 businesses. And like I said, we're a little bit higher than that right now. But our facility never changed. The resources that we had for the public never changed. And for those of you in business and business backgrounds, you'll appreciate this. When it started, we kind of fell into this classic silo. I saw these constituencies as silos, and each of them is their own programmatic. And it really took me 3 years to realize how connected these are. And what we have today is we have a holistic approach to community development, capacity building. And what we realize is that it's a classic sales funnel. If we want economic development, which is what everyone says they want, and we go to Boston. I've actually sat with the city of Boston's economic development person for dinner one night, and it's shocking. He says the same thing our people say. We've been to Shenzhen in China, and they say the exact same thing. If you peel back the layers, what they want is they want an educated, skilled, productive workforce that contributes to economic growth. How do you get there? How do you get people interested in these jobs and careers? How do you allow them to play and continue to have self-directed movement? And how do you get them to start companies? And these are tied together. And so it's your classic sales funnel where if we want something more to come out of the bottom, we have to widen the funnel. We have to grow those 5,000 students to 20,000 students. If we grow that, we can then widen our community outreach, and it will grow from 350 to 500. And if we can do that, we can grow those businesses that we support from 50 to 100. And it's hard for people to talk about it, but if we decide we're not going to see children, which we do have people that feel this way, where do you expect that business to come from? If we decide we're not going to support community members, where do you expect those hobbyists to grow into their business and do rapid prototyping and micro-manufacturing? And if we decide we're not going to support businesses, where do we expect people to go? And this is one that's really difficult for me personally because we have watched businesses start here in Tulsa and leave for Austin and leave for St. Louis because we don't support them. So that leads us to where we are today. About 2 years ago, we realized we were on this path, and we had a strategic planning session. And it was at the same time the Vision Talk was happening that summer. And we got a lot of interest, and a lot of people came over to Fab Lab, and they were like, hey, you should throw in, right? There's gonna be a lot of money down. And it was really interesting at the time, and it was very flattering, but what we realized is, as an organization, we'd never actually asked ourselves what we wanted. And so we took a step back from that process and really methodically went through what Tulsa needs, what Tulsa can support, and we came up with what you're seeing here. So this is literally the first time this picture has ever been seen in public. So this is the proposed Fab Lab that will be at 5th and Lewis. One of the things we decided is that we do want to stay in the Kendall Whittier neighborhood. The reason is it's our home currently, and they've been great to us. It also has an ecosystem of makers from, beer brewers are makers, sewings makers, arts makers. We're all kind of mixed into this together. It's also close to the University of Tulsa, which, as I explained, we've got pretty strong ties to, although we work with all the universities. And it's right down the street from a school that we serve, Kendall Whittier and San Miguel. And the other thing we realized is that we don't want to be a destination. We want to be a daily fabric of life. And that's what we really feel is important. And so the facility will be an open concept. It will be studio style. It's specifically designed for 21st century learning and not 20th century learning. It's also designed for millennials and to attract them and to keep them. And it has some features that are pretty interesting. We'll have an expanded main studio. This is something that's happened as we moved along. The skills of our community have changed over 6 years. When we began 5 years ago, people didn't even know what a laser cutter is. We literally had to put a sign above it that said laser cutter. So when we said go back to the laser cutter, people could find it. We could actually strip that away now. So as their skills are improved, the scope, the scale, and the complexity of these projects has massively grown, but our facility and capabilities haven't kept up with it. We also don't have a dedicated education space today, so we're going to add a wing of this facility will be dedicated to that. And what we need is we need the ability to do multiple lanes of traffic is the best way to describe it. We need to have nightly classes, daily classes, weekend classes. We just don't have enough space to do that. It'll also have something that everyone's really, really exciting about is it'll have an outdoor studio. Sometimes things are just too big for indoors. And so we'll be able to add that in there. And so what we know and what we believe is that Tulsa needs more makers. We need more innovators. We need more creative people. We need to make more. And I'm really excited too, because when we talked with our mayor and the city, they recognize that the way for building wealth is to make things and export that as trade to bring dollars back. And these are the types of facilities that build those types of businesses. So with that, I think I'm right on time. I can take 5 minutes of questions. Yes? Yeah. Yeah. Which school district is it? Yeah. So maker spaces are a wide range. And so that would be the first thing we would talk about. We are a very, very specific type of makerspace devoted to digital fabrication. So our programming is specifically around design through 2D and 3D software programs, mechanical engineering through CNC mills, laser cutters, and equipment, electronics through soldering and circuits, and then also coding through, because the best thing that happens is once you build something and you code it, it actually moves. So maker spaces are a term that can be used for almost anything. It could be Legos. To answer your question too, yes, we know that many school districts will have their own maker spaces, fab labs, especially the ones that have resources, funding, and are able to bring that capital in. The schools that we see are kind of on two ends of the spectrum, to be honest with you. We see schools that have exceptional students, that have a real interest and aptitude for this type of making. And then we see schools that are on the lower end, honestly. So we see schools that are deficient, underfunded. They could be urban schools, they could also be rural schools. What we don't see a lot of is we don't see a lot of the schools in the middle. So hopefully that answers your question, but yes. I hope that, and I wish that we could have a fab lab in every single school, but it won't be possible for everyone. Y'all are fortunate. Yeah. What's the budget for your makerspace? I'm just curious. Okay. Yeah, so to give you an idea, to get to our capacity, that's $1 million lab and a $200,000 mobile lab. So kind of gives you some scale and perspective. So when they outgrow your space, I want them to come to our space. Absolutely. So when they graduate, when they get to 6th and 7th grade, they need to come see us. Yes. Oh, the back. Yeah. Yeah, so that's the great thing. We have a staff, and our staff maintains the equipment. We keep it clean, we keep it calibrated, we keep the bits sharp, or we replace them. You cannot use the space without it being staffed or proctored by us, and so we also keep you safe. But what we don't do is we don't put the sweat equity into your project. So you have to be the one to do the actual work. We won't do it for you, although we do have people that come in and will always ask, why don't you just do it for me? And the answer is no. If you can't do it yourself, you need to hire a traditional craftsman, an engineer, someone to make it for you. But if you want to make it yourself and you don't have a $30,000 mill in your garage, that's the person that will come to our lab. So this is actually a great advantage, especially with 3D printing. I talked to dozens and dozens of people who bought a 3D printer. They are terribly complicated to maintain, to keep calibrated, to keep the beds leveled. They are the worst possible machine sometimes for education settings where you have 30 kids and all 30's prints take 1 hour. And so you can imagine the bottlenecks. So one of the advantages to using Fab Lab Tulsa is that we take care of that headache for you. And so you can literally just walk in. We also, with our memberships, you're able to reserve machine time. So every one of our machines has a reservation system, so you know when you come in, it belongs to you. And we kind of described it. It's a lot like going to kindergarten. You play nice with others, don't hit your neighbor, and clean up after yourself, and everyone's just really happy. Maybe.
Are there any other Fab Labs in Oklahoma?
There are. There is a Fab Lab at the high school in Muskogee. So Muskogee Public Schools has a lab in their high school. Also, the high schools in Claremore and in Pryor have Fab Labs. The difference is that those are education spaces. They're not open to the public. And so they're a very, very specific education focus. And we'll see, there's a Fab Lab in Independence, Kansas that's doing really, really well. There's also a smaller Fab Lab in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and there may be some things happening in Oklahoma City in that area next year. Yes?
How are you funded and do you partner?
Yes, to both of those. We are a 501c3, and we are a nonprofit. As he said in the introduction, the Hardesty Center for Fab Lab Tulsa, the Hardesty Family Foundation gave us our first gift that we kind of used to get started. What's important for people to understand is that this facility, our community cannot afford yet the real cost of what it takes. So to give you an example just on education, we spend $37 per student on materials and consumables that get ground up and used. No parent can afford $37. School districts can't afford $37, and that does not count salaries, equipment, overhead. That is literally just what gets ground up. You all can thank Mandy and Flight Night. They provide that $37 for these kids. The same thing with our community. We're not in Austin. We're not in the Bay Area. The true cost for a membership should be about $125 a month. But again, our community isn't ready for that, and we don't have enough. We hope that one day they are. So we're subsidizing these programs. The only groups that we're not subsidizing are businesses. Businesses pay full freight. But as I showed in that graph, it's critically important that if we want businesses to grow, we have to support them at these other phases in their incubation. And so we have to introduce kids to these concepts. On our research, what it shows is that if we can reach them in these middle school years, between 5th and 9th grade, we can change their interest and self-efficacy and attitude towards this workforce and making and digital fabrication. And if we can change that, we can actually change their hope score, which is their ability to visualize themselves becoming this. If a kid today cannot see themselves working, how do we expect them to work? If they can't see themselves going to college, how do we expect them to go to college? If we can't see them even graduating from high school, how do we expect them to do that? And so this visualization that they are good at this and they can make it is really, really powerful. One more? Oh, last one.
What's your field trip schedule like, and do you look for that from all districts?
Yeah, so we have some target markets. So we have some schools that we particularly take care of. We do have about 4 open weeks this year. And this is what's amazing. We've been at capacity since 2015. So what we need to do, and the reason we're starting this capital campaign and this growth is because we have to grow. We're literally turning about half the students in classes that ask a year away, almost. And we are full every week, starting this week until next August. Like I said, there's 4 empty weeks in there right now. And we're probably going to dedicate those to some rural schools. But if you have a group, call me. Brian's here as well. We've got some information if you want anything. As Brandy said, you should come by for a tour. If you have not seen this, you need to come by and visualize it. It can be hard to talk about it without seeing what's happening. We'd be glad to show you that. And kind of the last thing I'd say is we can't do this alone. Even though I have a vision and a passion, we can't do this without the community support. If Tulsa doesn't support this, if parents don't support this, if businesses and our community don't think this is a value, we won't make it. And like I said, what worries me is I'm able to see behind the curtain to what these other cities are doing. and I know what they have planned, and they are literally coming after us. All right, let's end on a happy note.
Thank you, Nathan. Thank you for your leadership in driving our community forward. That's some amazing stuff going on there. Appreciate you visiting with us today. As I told you, in lieu of a speaker's gift, we donate a book to our adopted school, Celia Clinton, and this week's book is Smithsonian Maker Lab. So there you go. Thank you for signing that.
So I signed it for the maker and all of us.
Ah, very nice, very nice. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, upcoming programs. Again, next week we are at Celia Clinton, our adopted school, and Tulsa Public Schools Superintendent Deborah Gist will be our speaker, so that should be very interesting. And then the week after that, October 4th, is our Club Foundation celebration, so that's a great time to understand and recognize the nonprofits in our community that we're supporting through our foundation. Learn a little bit about our foundation, and also recognize people who have really stepped up and made some very significant donations to our foundation. So don't miss that meeting. So go out, tell your Rotary story, and don't forget to bring a friend to Rotary next week. We are dismissed.